Good morning. It's Sandra. Today is January 18th, 2026. And I was just thinking about a whole lot of cool things, what I would share with my brother Charlie. And so this is really some things that are coming up for me today as I'm in my prayer space. So this is my little prayer closet, aka my war room, because when I said yes to Jesus, then guess what? Um, my hidden enemy, he's hidden, he's there, right? He wants to thwart those plans of me glorifying God, because that would his plans are the opposite, right? So anyhow, a little more sharing with me. What's coming up for me today is, as I'm here in this room, I get it organized, I get it cleaned up, and as I'm doing it, I listen. My room is quiet. I'm listening for the next thing to do, the next thing to clean up, the next thing to say, the next thing to read in my Bible. So I'm reading this Bible. It's called the Daily Walk Bible. It's the New International Version, and so day by day it'll take you through and it'll explain some. And what I do, the way I do it, is I open up my Bible, but I also open up my Bible app, which is the U version, YOUVERSION, U version app, and that will read it to me in the same New International Version Bible. So I get to read along with it. So that's helpful for me because I am not a strong reader. I have to, but if I can hear it and read along with it at the same time, that's really starts to stick in. So that's been a win for me. I started reading this through the last year in 2025. Now it's January 2026. I also wanted to say that I was thinking about, when was I ordained a deacon? But deacon is really for men. But in the Bible, it refers to a deaconess as a helper. And what happened was, when I moved back to Florida in 2021 and had my whole born again experience where I needed God, I needed Jesus for healing, because I wasn't able to do it on my own. So when all that transpired, in 2023 is when I actually had an altar call, went up to the altar, was like, yes, this is what I need. And that happened. So after that, then in May of 2025 or 3 was the need for a deacon at my mom's church. She stepped in as a role of the bishop role. So let me tell you a little bit about that. It's just that my mom had this calling to become a priest, and she asked God for like 10 years, really? Like, is this what you want me to do? 10 years she was asking, like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? So she became a priest and kept going through it to where she got to become ordained bishop of the independent Catholic Church, the Philippine Independent Catholic Church. That's how she was able to be ordained a bishop, because not other denominations, they won't ordain women as bishops or priests even. So she was holding that space at the church, the Philippine Independent Catholic Church in Tampa. And at that time, she needed an assistant. So I was like, yeah, I'll go. That's great. I love it. I've always felt very called to a priestess type role. Prior to that experience in 2023, let me take you back some years ago. Before that, when I was newly divorced and I was seeking healing, and all of a sudden things were coming up in my algorithm, like ayahuasca. And I was already teaching yoga. I had been teaching yoga since 2006 is when I got my certification. I started teaching yoga because I had children, and in the morning, I'm nursing in the morning at like 5 a.m. and I'm like, I'm awake. There was a lady doing yoga on TV and I was like, hey, cool. So I got into that, started stretching, started meditating, and it worked really well with smoking weed too, because I'd smoke weed and then just kind of like sit there and meditate. But like then my brain, my mind was probably going, you have to keep bringing it back, which is normal anyway. But anyway, I digressed a little bit. So coming back to teaching yoga since 2006, now I'm divorced in 2017. 2017 is when the divorce was final. And I felt very led to go out to Costa Rica to do a plant medicine ceremony. It's, I see it in the algorithms popping up, and Deepak Chopra, he endorses it, and so does like Shiva Ray, who was a big yogi at the time, and putting all these things out there like that. So I'm like, okay, these people are endorsing it, must work. So like, I'm kind of keeping it hidden though. I'm keeping it hidden from my yoga community, right? I'm keeping it hidden that I'm a big pothead too. A few people knew, but like it was kind of more of like a closet thing, right? So, but now my plan is I went, even during my divorce process, I was in a yoga training at the time, and I was like keeping it, I wasn't making it about that. I was in the training so I could be around other people, but like I was like secretly going through a lot of like stuff with the divorce, and just like this, I wasn't letting it out. I was like secretly like, okay, self-medicating with marijuana, and just like, So that all resolved itself. It was amicable divorce, and now I'm looking for healing. And I think ayahuasca is going to be this accelerated way of my healing. So sign up for like this week to go out to Costa Rica. It turns out like I had canceled a flight previously, so I had I had to take a flight within a certain time frame. And a friend of mine, she sent me information about this ayahuasca retreat, which is the exact same week that I wanted to be out there, and I was feeling Costa Rica. So anyway, go out there, you do some cleaning ahead of time. So I could not smoke weed ahead of time. Like I had to stop smoking because for like a month or something, or 6 weeks or so prior to the ceremony work, because it's like marijuana is this plant medicine with its own energy, this goddess energy, right? And then ayahuasca is this own thing. It's jealous too of this. You doesn't want to have, this other medicine in you. So you have to be away from that and then get yourself ready for this medicine. So get out to Costa Rica. We're eating some clean diet. Then we sit in a ceremony, and it's at night. You wear all white, and you go there and you go into this outdoor temple, and you sit in a circle, and they prepare the tea. Then the ayahuasca itself is brewed from the ayahuasca vine, and also chacruna, which is the masculine plant, and ayahuasca is the feminine. So you brew it. And the way the shamans knew about this is the plants told them how to make this brew, which is an hallucinogen. And so the hallucinogen, it is what's called it contains what's called DMT. I cannot say the word right now off the top of my head, DMT, but it's the spirit molecule, which basically is to kind of open you. It's to that spirit realm. It's DMT is really present in your body when you're born, and also I hear when you like take your last breath, like that spirit element, however you want to. It's called spirit molecule. You can research it. So the thing is, you take this brew, and everybody, goes up to the altar takes their sip, go sit back down, then we sit and wait for it to take effect. And the very first ceremony, I'm sitting there, and there's a controlled fire over in the little temple fire pit, and it started to look animated. I'm like, oh, now I'm starting to like hallucinate, like I'm starting to see things. And then as I was sitting there with my, like, so yoga, I was taught to like circulate my breath through the chakras. You take it in through your third eye, you bring it down to your base of your body, and then you send it up to the crown of your head. Like these ancient yogic techniques. And so I'm like doing this, you know, breathing technique, and I'm breathing in, and all of a sudden it's like my physical eyes open up, but I feel like my third eye is open, like, okay. But it's like, you're just awake, and I'm in this ceremony, and everybody's going through their own stuff, and everybody's at their own place, spiritual level, and they're working where they're at. So I'm just kind of like experiencing this. I'm all the yoga preparation ahead of time, probably cleaned up a lot of stuff, but I still had a lot of stuff. Hey, I'm not saying I came in with no baggage, because we all came in with some baggage we're working on, right? So we're sitting in the ceremony. Ceremony ends. The next day, you do what's called where we integrate an integration. You sit together, share what came up for you, things like that. And then we had another ceremony, but see, the thing is, what was powerful about this that I'm recalling right now is that first night, my first ceremony ever, I felt the need to vomit, but like with circulating my breath, I didn't purge. And a big part of when the medicine, see, the thing is with this medicine, our bodies reject it, like, because it's something that the body does not want to keep inside. So, but the vomiting, the purge is actually conducive. It helps with the process of the whole spiritual awakening process thing. Well, I didn't purge that night in the ceremony, but I felt, like I just feel like, you know, my stomach, and just terrible. And so one of the facilitators there at the retreat center I was staying at, he's like, well, smoke a little tobacco, where you don't smoke it, you actually, you know, breathe it in through your nostril. It's going to help with that. So funny thing is, I'm like waiting for the guy to do this with me. So the guy, he fills up his little pipe or whatever, and he puts it to my nostril, and he's like, okay, now you're going to, I wasn't supposed to inhale. Somehow I ended up like, you know, really, oh yeah, this is what it was. I breathed it in instead of him blowing it up into my nose. I breathed it in instead. I was like, woo! I right away had my purge. And then I started really like seeing like the grass was so green, and I had to lay down in the grass for a moment and like see like the little bug on the grass, and it was just like, you know, in another kind of spiritual whatever was going on for me at the time. So anyway, that happens, and I'm really on some other level or thing, or, you know, now the medicine's having some other kind of effect where, so that was, you know, the day after my ceremony. So now I'm laying down, you know, just like, oof, this is pretty rough. And we're going to have a ceremony that night. And I'm like, ooh, we don't know. Am I going to make it or what? But then they, you know, the shaman looks at me, if you will, looks at me, and he's like, okay, you know, she can, you know, come into the ceremony that night. And I took it really chill. Like that night I laid down. I only took a small amount of medicine, and I basically just laid down for that whole ceremony. And that night it was a different thing for me because I had just a little bit of medicine, but like the drum beat as they were drumming, it sounded like the drum beat of the heart of the earth. And the medicine songs were chanted in Spanish. A lot of them were in Spanish. So anyway, I took a chill that night, and the next day we did integration again, and that we only had two ceremonies for that week that we were together, into a little more integration before me coming back to the United States. So that was my very first experience sitting in ayahuasca ceremonies. Now, after that, I went back to my CNA work in Colorado, and it was like, what am I doing? Like, this is not fulfilling at all. Like, you go back to the old stuff and you're just like, this is really dumb stuff. Like, I meant to do more than this. Anyhow, so then what happened was my lease in my apartment was coming to an end, and they were not going to allow me to renew it because it needed to be renovated. There were mice living in there. Now I don't have a place to go. I'm divorced. I don't have a place to go, but the place that I was being led to go was back to Florida. So, okay, I pack up my car and I move back to Florida. And actually, I changed that. I got back to Florida. I don't think I didn't have the car. I didn't have a car. I just flew. Not sure about the vehicle at the time. I can come back to, let me brainstorm about that. But actually, I flew myself to Florida. And I let go of all the stuff, my bed, all that other stuff, whatever. So now I come back to Florida, and I'm staying at my grandmother's, and it was the year 2017. And it was in August, September, October. I had my birthday. I had my 40th birthday at my grandmother's house. She was living in Kings Point, Sun City Center, Florida. And I was at a point where I was journaling every day, and I'm like, okay, what would I do? Would I go to Costa Rica, or would I go into the Army? Well, I'm 40 now. I'd be the oldest person going into the Army. So I was like, you know what? And my wrist hurt from doing so much yoga. So I was like, forget it. I cannot go and do push-ups every day as a 40-year-old in the Army, try to keep up with the 18-year-olds. So I was like, well, I'm going to go to Costa Rica. And, there was kind of a little warning. Someone said, like, hey, you probably shouldn't do it. But I was like, you know what? You don't know. Let me do it. I'm doing what I'm going to do. So then in November of 2017, I reached out and to the retreat center, and they were actually looking for some people at the time that would come out to do a work study, a 3-month work study. So I'm like, hey, that's going to be me, or like 1 month or whatever. So I went out for November, December, and January to stay at that retreat center. And so I sat in several more ceremonies because I'm like, I want a little more of this. But the thing is, when I got out there, I wondered if I had made a mistake. But I was like, but I'm here. I'm gonna do this. So sitting in ceremony, there was nobody who was really like, hey, there was no one really helping me to, like, I don't know if govern is the word, or to help me to do it moderately, or in what kind of a balanced way. Like, okay, you sat in a ceremony, now you should wait. No, I just thought more medicine is better. Just come on, let's go. I just was so eager, but I was like trying to surrender. Like, okay, well, if I'm not meant to be there, I won't be there. But I tried to get into as many ceremonies and things as possible and take as much medicine as I could. And one of the first ones I did was like frog medicine, where, they burn little holes onto your leg, and then they put the poison from the frog